There are several steps required in writing a food safety plan. My name is Jenna Arrayes with the California Department of Food and Agriculture's Feed Inspection Program, and today we will go over the steps that you will need to take in order to comply with the Food Safety Modernization Act laws and regulations. When receiving incoming ingredients, either bulk or stacked, you should be checking for the following: that it is approved for feed manufacturing, that it is from an approved supplier, that you visually inspected and sampled the product, and that you have all the appropriate documentation. Certificate of analysis and lot numbers should be identified. All feed and/or feed ingredients that are used in the further manufacturing of feed should be stored in a manner that identify the feed and/or feed ingredient and minimize the risk of adulteration. Your firm should have established and implemented inventory practices that include a first in, first out inventory rotation. This will minimize the risk of adulteration. Inventory reconciliation that identifies any manufacturing errors is key to a successful drug log inventory. The purpose of keeping a drug log is to note any deviations in a drug room that could lead to corrective actions in your FSMA plan. Hand-add areas should be constructed and maintained to prevent adulteration of feed by drugs and high-risk minerals. All scales and metering devices should be accurate and calibrated regularly. Cleanout procedures, whether it be sequencing, flushing, or physical cleanout, should be adequate to prevent adulteration of feed. You should document that equipment cleanout procedures are actually being performed at your facility, and sampling and laboratory testing should verify the effectiveness of your cleanout procedures. All maintenance activities should be documented. A written maintenance schedule that includes daily, weekly, monthly, or even annual maintenance needs to be documented. This includes cleaning schedule documentation to prevent adulteration of feed. Magnets and screens should be routinely checked for proper operation and cleaning to minimize the risk of adulteration. This activity should be documented. Hand-add areas should be constructed and maintained to prevent adulteration of feed by drugs and high-risk minerals. All scales and metering devices should be accurate and calibrated regularly. Formulas should be reviewed for safety, regulatory compliance, and suitability for the intended species and specific class of animal. Your formulas should be reviewed for compatibility with your equipment limitations and also should be consistent with the guarantees and ingredients on the labeling. Production records should not only be kept for 2 years, but should also be reviewed by management daily. This will ensure that theoretical versus actual weights on individual ingredients are within established tolerances. A comparison of actual production versus final loadout weight or bag count is documented. Employee training is a critical element in any food safety plan and prerequisite program. Training your employees not only what to do, but why to do it is critical. Quality assurance and feed safety training should be incorporated in your standard operating procedures. Those should be documented and acknowledged by all personnel. Supervisors should be knowledgeable of all aspects of your firm's standard operating procedures and/or quality assurance program. Identity and integrity of bulk and packaged feeds should be maintained from your mixer to the truck. Trucks and rail cars should be inspected for cleanliness and integrity prior to bulk loading. Samples should be obtained and kept for 3 months. In the event of a recall, you need to ensure that all feed can be traced back and forward by code or lot number that identifies each load, package, or production run for at least 2 years. Your firm should have standard written operating procedures in the event of a recall that identifies the feed or feed ingredients in accordance with the procedures outlined by the Food and Drug Administration. You should also have a customer complaint form developed and on file available for on-site inspection. All complaints should be followed up and documented, which includes your findings and resolutions. All entrances into feed manufacturing areas should be secured and/or monitored at all times. Critical areas of manufacturing, such as receiving, hand ads, control rooms, and loadout or packaging areas, should be secured and monitored at all times. Your firm should have control measures in place to minimize pest infestation of feed and/or feed ingredients. A successful food safety plan cannot start without the complete support of your firm's management. Your first step is to have your prerequisite programs in place. Then you can move on to establishing your FSMA team and developing your flow charts. Once this is in place, you can move to your hazard identification and analysis, preventive controls, verification activities, and record keeping. Your final phase is to compile all of these documents into one comprehensive food safety plan.